Dr. Alara Voss stepped off the shuttle and onto the smooth, silver surface of the research station orbiting the planet Narian. The station was massive, a labyrinth of corridors, observation decks, and labs, all gleaming under the faint light of a distant sun. The hum of machinery and the occasional hiss of pneumatic doors were the only sounds, but Alara felt the weight of her mission pressing against her chest. She had been sent here for a reason. Humanity had discovered an alien species unlike anything they had ever encountered, and she was to study its most advanced specimen, known only as Subject X. As she walked through the corridors, her boots echoing softly, she glanced at the data tablet in her hands. Subject X was kept in a secure observation chamber, separated from the humans by layers of reinforced glass and energy shielding. The reports described its abilities: remarkable intelligence, perfect memory, and an astonishing capacity to adapt to new situations almost instantly. Most humans would have been nervous at the thought of observing such a creature up close, but Alara's curiosity outweighed her fear. When she reached the observation deck, she saw Subject X for the first time. It was unlike anything she had imagined. Its skin shimmered faintly, reflecting light in patterns that were almost hypnotic. Its eyes, large and intelligent, watched her with a mix of caution and curiosity. It moved with fluid grace, each motion deliberate, as if it had studied the humans just as much as they were studying it. Alara felt a thrill of anticipation. Here was the pinnacle of alien evolution, and she had the chance to understand it. The alien did not speak in any language humans could recognize, but it seemed to communicate through subtle gestures and changes in its skin patterns. Alara activated the observation interface, projecting holographic diagrams of the alien's physiology. She noted the unusual structure of its neural system, which appeared capable of processing information far faster than human brains. Its cellular structure was resilient, able to repair itself almost instantly from minor injuries. Every detail suggested a species that had survived countless challenges through intelligence and adaptability. Alara began her initial observations carefully. She monitored the alien's reactions to different stimuli: light patterns, sound frequencies, and even simple problem-solving tasks. It solved puzzles quickly, often in ways she had not anticipated. Sometimes it would pause, tilt its head, and study her, as though it were trying to understand her intentions. There was a strange sense of connection in those moments, as if the alien was aware that she was learning from it just as much as she was learning from it. Days passed, and Alara became more familiar with the alien's habits. She noticed a pattern. Whenever she introduced a small sample of human DNA for testing, the alien's body reacted in a subtle but measurable way. Its skin would shimmer more brightly, and neural activity seemed to spike. She ran multiple tests, always careful to record every detail. Her curiosity grew. Something about human DNA seemed to trigger an unusual biological response. Could it be that humans, despite their fragility, had something unique that even this advanced species recognized? One evening, while the station orbited silently above Narian, Alara stayed late in the lab, examining the latest data. The alien had been particularly responsive that day, interacting with the DNA samples in ways that defied prediction. As she analyzed the neural scans, she noticed something extraordinary. The alien cells were integrating with traces of human DNA at a microscopic level. It was not harmful, but it suggested a compatibility she had not anticipated. Humans and this alien species might share a potential for biological connection that could change everything. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime. The station director, Dr. Hallstrom, appeared in the doorway. He was a stern man, cautious and methodical, and he had made it clear from the start that he did not trust the alien or any interaction that could compromise human safety. "Still at it, Alara?" he asked, his eyes scanning the data on her tablet. "I'm seeing something unusual," she replied. "The alien cells respond to human DNA in ways that could indicate compatibility. It's not dangerous, but it's remarkable. We cannot risk contamination or unforeseen consequences." The implications were enormous. If humans and this species could somehow integrate or share traits, it could accelerate human evolution. She knew she had to proceed with caution, but the potential was too great to ignore. The next day, she introduced a new sample, a more concentrated form of human DNA, to the observation chamber. Subject X approached it carefully, its movements measured. As the alien made contact, a faint glow spread across its skin, brighter than she had ever seen. Sensors recorded a surge of neural activity. Alara's heart raced. This was more than just reaction, it was recognition, interaction at a fundamental biological level. For hours, she observed the alien, noting every change. It seemed to study the sample as if trying to understand its essence. Then unexpectedly, it reached toward the glass separating them. Its hand, long and delicate, hovered in the air. Alara felt a strange sense of anticipation, almost as if the alien was inviting her to step closer. She did not, of course, but she documented the moment meticulously. Something profound was happening here. Days turned into weeks, and Alara continued her observations. She noticed that her own health and reflexes were subtly changing. She dismissed it at first as fatigue or stress, but then she realized her senses had sharpened. She could process information faster, react more quickly, and anticipate events in ways she never could before. The alien's presence seemed to have an effect, not just on its own biology, but on hers. One evening, while analyzing the data, Alara made a discovery that made her pause. A trace of the alien's cellular structure had integrated with her own DNA, subtle, almost imperceptible, but undeniably present. She stared at the holographic readouts, trying to comprehend the implications. She was not sick or harmed, but her body had become a host of something entirely new. It was a living connection, a bridge between humans and this alien species. Alara felt a mixture of awe and responsibility. This was not what she had been sent to do, but it was what had happened. Humanity had never encountered anything like this, and she was at the center of it. The alien seemed to sense the change as well, watching her with the same cautious curiosity it had always shown. There was no threat in its gaze, only recognition. The weeks that followed were a delicate balance of observation and adaptation. Alara documented every change in her body, every interaction with the alien. Her colleagues noticed her heightened abilities, but she assured them it was stress and focus. Inside, however, she knew something extraordinary was unfolding. The alien's biology and human DNA were interacting in a way that hinted at something greater, a legacy that could redefine what it meant to be human. One morning, alarms rang through the station. A micrometeor shower had struck Narian's atmosphere, sending a wave of debris toward the station. Emergency protocols activated instantly. Alara and the team rushed to secure the labs and reinforce the observation chamber. Subject X remained calm, almost serene, its skin glowing faintly in response to the stress. As the debris collided with the station, minor damage occurred, but the reinforced shields held. Alara noticed something astonishing. Her reflexes, enhanced by the alien integration, allowed her to navigate the chaos with ease, directing her team to safety and preventing further damage. The alien, in turn, seemed to respond to her movements, anticipating hazards and assisting in subtle ways. Together, human ingenuity and alien adaptation formed a seamless collaboration. After the crisis passed, the station settled into quiet once more. Alara sat in the lab, exhausted but exhilarated. She reflected on what had happened. Humanity had taken its first step toward something extraordinary. The alien was not just a specimen to study, it was a partner in discovery, and she had become the bridge. Her body carried the potential for a new form of life, a connection that could elevate humanity to unprecedented heights. As she looked at Subject X through the observation glass, she realized the journey was only beginning. This was just the first chapter in a story that would challenge everything humans knew about themselves and the universe. She had been sent to study him, but now she carried his legacy, a gift, a responsibility, and a promise of what humanity could become. Alara took a deep breath, feeling a sense of purpose she had never known. The universe was vast, filled with unknowns and dangers, but also with opportunities. And for the first time, she understood that humanity's greatest strength was not just in technology or weapons, but in curiosity, courage, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. She smiled faintly, knowing that the future would demand everything she had to give, and more. And she was ready. Weeks passed since the micrometeor incident, and the station had returned to its routine, though nothing felt routine to Dr. Alara Voss. She moved through the corridors with purpose, her mind constantly occupied by the alien and the changes she could now feel in herself. What had started as subtle shifts in her reflexes and senses had grown more pronounced. She could process information almost instinctively, anticipate events before they happened, and solve problems with a speed that amazed even her. Her colleagues noticed the differences, though they attributed it to stress, sleep cycles, and intense focus. Only she knew the truth. The alien's biology had integrated with hers. It was a living, active presence within her, a silent teacher that constantly shared its knowledge in ways she could not yet fully explain. Dr. Hallstrom, the station director, called her into his office one morning. His face was tense and he motioned for her to sit. "Ilara," he began, "I've reviewed your reports. Your data on Subject X is extraordinary, but I must remind you of the protocols. We cannot allow any human to be compromised by alien biology. We cannot risk contamination, and we certainly cannot allow hybridization. The alien's integration seems to be symbiotic, not invasive. It responds to me, to human presence, in ways I believe are beneficial." But now it was also a place of transformation, and she could not ignore the possibilities. Humanity had stumbled upon something unprecedented, and she had to explore it carefully. Back in the observation lab, she approached the chamber where Subject X rested. The alien regarded her with calm, intelligent eyes, its skin shimmering faintly in response to her presence. Over the past weeks, they had developed an unusual rapport. She had learned to read its gestures, its subtle skin patterns, the way it moved when it wanted to communicate. And she had discovered that her own presence now affected it in a way that no one else could replicate. She held up a new set of DNA samples, carefully prepared to test integration with human cells. Subject X reacted immediately, moving toward them with curiosity. Ilara observed the interaction, her instruments recording every neural spike, every cellular reaction. The alien's body responded faster, more precisely than ever before, and she realized it was learning from her, adapting its behavior based on her actions and choices. She felt a thrill of discovery. This was more than observation. It was collaboration, the beginning of a partnership that could redefine the boundaries of biology. Over the next several days, Ilara continued her studies. She conducted careful experiments to see how far the integration had progressed. She discovered that her own cells were producing subtle new proteins that seemed to enhance her nervous system. Her senses were sharper, her reflexes were near perfect. Even her problem-solving skills had become instinctive, as if she could see the solutions before fully analyzing the problem. Ilara realized that she was not simply observing the alien, she was now part of an experiment of evolution itself. Humanity had always relied on intelligence, creativity, and courage to survive. Now she was seeing those traits amplified in ways she could barely imagine. One evening, while reviewing her notes, the station's alarm sounded again. A sudden energy fluctuation rippled through the station's systems, causing lights to flicker and machinery to stutter. Ilara's heart raced as she rushed to the control center. The readings indicated an external threat, an ion storm in Narian's upper atmosphere, far more intense than predicted. The station's automated defenses engaged, but Ilara noticed that the storm was unpredictable, with energy surges that could overwhelm even the best shields. She turned to her team, giving precise instructions. Her instincts, sharpened by the alien integration, allowed her to anticipate failures and reroute power before problems arose. Subject X moved beside her observation chamber, its skin glowing in response to the energy fluctuations. Ilara realized that it was reacting to the same stimuli she was, almost as if it were collaborating with her to stabilize the station. They worked in tandem, human ingenuity and alien adaptation combining to meet a challenge that would have been impossible for either species alone. Hours passed, and the storm raged, but the station held. Damage was minimal and no one was harmed. When the emergency subsided, Ilara felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had seen firsthand what could happen when humans embraced adaptability, intelligence, and courage. In the quiet that followed, she examined her own condition. The alien integration was now more pronounced. Scans revealed that the biological imprint it had left within her was actively reorganizing her neural network, enhancing connections and creating new pathways. She could feel a subtle energy coursing through her body, a heightened awareness that allowed her to anticipate problems before they occurred. Ilara knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had the chance to learn from this species in ways that could change the course of evolution. She could be the first to bridge the gap, to prove that humans were capable not only of survival but of transformation. As the days went on, she began to notice another change, one that she had not anticipated. The alien's biology was influencing her reproductive cells. It was subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but careful scans confirmed that her body was now capable of carrying a new form of life, a hybrid legacy that combined human and alien traits. She paused, reflecting on the implications. This was not a romantic or intimate connection, as some might imagine. It was a biological inheritance, a bridge between species. Humanity had been given an opportunity to integrate the strengths of another species, to learn and grow in ways that had never before been possible. And she was the first human to carry that potential. Her colleagues noticed her heightened abilities and subtle changes, though they could not explain them. Some were curious, others wary. Alara reassured them, emphasizing caution and careful observation. She was not a test subject to be exploited. She was a researcher guiding humanity through an unprecedented discovery. One afternoon, the alien approached the glass of the observation chamber, its skin pulsing in patterns that seemed almost like a greeting. Alara recognized the gesture. It was acknowledging her, recognizing her as the carrier of its legacy. She responded with a subtle movement, mirroring its gestures. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. They were partners, not in friendship or romance, but in evolution. The station's sensors recorded another anomaly that day. Small fluctuations in her cellular activity indicated that the hybridization process was accelerating. Alara felt no pain, no discomfort, only a heightened sense of awareness. She realized that her body was becoming a living laboratory, a place where human ingenuity and alien biology could merge to create something entirely new. Dr. Hallstrom visited her again, more concerned now than before. Alara, I've seen the reports. Your abilities, they are beyond anything we expected. But this integration, what is happening to you? Is it safe? It is a step forward for humanity. They had developed a subtle system of communication, a shared understanding that transcended language. She could sense its intentions, its moods, even its curiosity about humanity, and it seemed to sense hers. Alara reflected on how far she had come. She had arrived on Narian to study an alien being, and now she carried within her the potential for a new form of life, a bridge between species. It was a responsibility she did not take lightly. Humanity had been given an opportunity to grow, to evolve, and she was at the forefront of that change. One evening, as she watched Narian's twin moons rise above the horizon from the observation deck, she felt a quiet determination settle over her. The universe was vast and filled with unknowns, but humans had always thrived by embracing challenges, by using intelligence, courage, and creativity to overcome obstacles. She would continue her work carefully, responsibly, and with the hope that what she carried would one day help humanity take a step forward into a larger, more wondrous future. Alara turned back to the lab, ready for the next phase of observation. Subject X mirrored her movements, its skin glowing softly, a silent companion in a journey that was only beginning. They were partners in discovery, in evolution, and in the promise of what humanity could become. She had been sent to study him, but now she understood that she had become something more. A carrier of potential, a bridge between species, and a witness to the first steps of a future that would challenge and redefine what it meant to be human. The days on the station passed with an almost calm rhythm, but Alara knew it was a fragile calm. She could feel subtle changes happening within her body every hour. The alien integration was accelerating, and with it, her abilities continued to sharpen. She could process complex data streams almost instantly, anticipate environmental shifts, and detect patterns others could not see. It was as though her mind had become a bridge between human reasoning and the alien's instinctive intelligence. The research team, though unaware of the full extent of her condition, began to rely on her increasingly. During simulations of emergency scenarios, Alara would anticipate problems before they appeared, guiding the team to solutions that seemed almost impossible. Her colleagues marveled at her ability but did not question the source. To them, she was just brilliant, a human at the peak of her potential. Alara spent hours in the observation chamber with Subject X, who had become both her focus and her partner in this silent collaboration. The alien seemed to understand the changes taking place within her, and it adapted its behavior accordingly. Its gestures and skin patterns now carried complex meanings, subtle messages of approval, caution, or curiosity. They had reached a level of mutual understanding that transcended language. One day, the station's monitoring systems picked up unusual signals from the nearby sector of Narian's orbit. Energy fluctuations and particle disturbances were higher than normal, far beyond the station's typical range. Alara's instincts told her to investigate, and she quickly gathered her team. "Readings are off the charts," said Commander Vera, the station's chief engineer. "If this reaches the station, it could fry the power grid and disable the shields." The storm was not natural. It was generated by a rogue vessel from a distant alien faction. They had detected the station's presence and were approaching at high speed. Humanity had not encountered this faction before, but Alara's intuition, sharpened by the alien integration, allowed her to predict their likely trajectory and tactics. "Prepare all defenses," she ordered. "We will need to reroute energy, reinforce the shields, and coordinate countermeasures immediately." She was not just issuing commands. She was anticipating failures, rerouting power before circuits could overload, predicting structural stresses before they appeared. Subject X reacted in tandem. Its skin glowed, neural signals spiking in patterns that mirrored Alara's thought processes. It moved along the observation chamber, projecting energy fields that supported the station's shields. They worked as one, human ingenuity amplified by alien adaptation. Despite their combined efforts, the first impact wave struck. The station shuddered violently, alarms blaring as sections of the outer hull sustained damage. Crew members shouted instructions over the comms, but Alara's mind was clear. She guided them through each step, her enhanced cognition allowing her to anticipate each threat. She directed the energy shields to focus on vulnerable points, rerouted power to life support systems, and coordinated repairs in real time. Hours passed in a blur of activity. Alara felt the alien's presence within her, a silent force of intuition and strength. She could feel its confidence, its calm, and its instinct guiding her hands and thoughts. Together, they turned a situation that should have been catastrophic into a controlled crisis. By the time the rogue vessel retreated, the station was intact, damaged but survivable, and the crew's morale had never been higher. After the event, Alara retreated to the observation deck, exhausted but exhilarated. She knew that the integration was reaching new levels. Scans revealed further changes in her cellular structure. Her neural network had expanded dramatically, forming new connections that were accelerating her cognitive abilities. Her body was adapting to the alien biology in ways that seemed deliberate, almost purposeful. She realized that this was no longer simply observation. She was becoming the first human to carry an entirely new form of potential, a living hybrid of human and alien traits. Her body was not just enhanced, it was evolving in real time in response to environmental challenges, external stimuli, and her own thought processes. Dr. Hallstrom arrived shortly after, his face lined with concern. "Alara, I've seen the post-event reports. You handled it perfectly, but these changes, you are beyond anything we've ever documented. Are you sure this is safe?" "We must proceed with caution." As the days progressed, she noticed another development. Her body's reproductive cells had further adapted, showing signs of accelerated integration with the alien biology. This was not a matter of romance or intimacy. It was pure biology, a potential for creating a new form of life that combined the strengths of both species. She understood the significance. Humanity could carry forward traits that had previously been impossible. She was the first bridge between two forms of life, a living experiment in evolution. Alara shared some of her findings with the station's science team, focusing on the potential applications. "These enhancements could improve human resilience, intelligence, and adaptability," she explained. "We are not creating weapons. We are learning how to survive and thrive in the universe." They began to experiment with simulations, applying lessons learned from Alara's condition to develop better systems for environmental control, navigation, and problem-solving. Humans were proving that ingenuity, courage, and adaptability could meet any challenge, even one that seemed impossible. But the integration was not without challenges. Alara experienced periods of intense mental activity, moments where her thoughts accelerated beyond the normal limits of human cognition. She could see patterns, predict outcomes, and solve problems with incredible speed, but it left her physically drained. She had to learn to balance the alien influence, allowing it to guide her without overwhelming her human mind. One evening, as she meditated in the observation chamber, she realized that the hybridization was teaching her more than science. It was teaching her patience, focus, and the value of careful decision-making. Humanity had always relied on intellect and courage, but this integration was showing her that the greatest strength lay in balance, between intuition and reason, instinct and planning, human and alien. Subject X approached her, moving with deliberate grace. Its skin glowed in patterns she now understood as complex communication. She mirrored its movements, and a subtle understanding passed between them. They were no longer observer and subject. They were partners in evolution, each learning from the other, each shaping the other's existence. The station continued to face challenges. Small anomalies in Narian's magnetic field created power surges, and minor equipment failures tested their problem-solving skills. Every time, Alara found herself anticipating the failures before they happened, guiding the team to solutions that prevented disaster. The integration was not a crutch, it was a tool, a way to amplify human ingenuity and creativity. During one critical simulation, the station's main reactor began to overheat. The team scrambled, but Alara's enhanced perception allowed her to see the chain reaction before it occurred. She directed engineers to isolate the overheating cells, rerouted cooling systems, and stabilized the reactor in a way that saved the station from catastrophe. The crew stared in awe. Humanity had always been clever, but now, with integration and insight, they were unstoppable. Alara's thoughts turned to the future. The hybrid legacy she carried was not just a curiosity, it was proof that humans could adapt, evolve, and thrive in ways previously unimaginable. She had been sent to study an alien being, but she was now part of a process that could redefine what it meant to be human. The universe was vast and dangerous, but humans had never shied away from challenges. Now, with intelligence, courage, and adaptability amplified, they could meet any threat, explore any frontier, and overcome any obstacle. As the weeks turned into months, Alara felt the presence of the hybrid within her more strongly. It was not a separate entity, but a living part of her being, enhancing her abilities, guiding her decisions, and shaping her understanding of the universe. She realized that the future of humanity might depend on this connection, on the willingness to embrace change, to learn, and to grow. She looked out across the station, watching the distant storms of Narian and the silent expanse of space beyond. Humanity had always been small in the cosmos, but she understood now that size and strength were not the measure of a species. Curiosity, intelligence, adaptability, and courage were, and humans had all of these in abundance, amplified by the legacy she carried and the lessons she learned from the alien species. Alara smiled faintly, knowing that the story was only beginning. Challenges would come, dangers would arise, and the unknown would always test humanity. But she also knew that humans could rise to any occasion. With ingenuity, determination, and the courage to embrace the unknown, they could overcome any obstacle. Subject X moved closer to her side, a silent partner in discovery, a living reminder that evolution was not just about survival. It was about growth, connection, and potential. And in that moment, Alara understood that humanity's greatest adventure was not simply exploration of space, but the exploration of themselves, their abilities, and the possibilities that lay within. She had been sent to study him, but now she was part of something greater. A living bridge, a carrier of potential, and a witness to the first steps of a future that would challenge and inspire humanity to rise to heights it had never imagined. And she was ready for whatever came next. The station was quiet, but Alara could feel the subtle vibrations of change all around her. The alien integration had reached a new phase, one that even she could not fully predict. Her senses were sharper than ever, and she could feel the hybrid legacy within her responding to the environment, adjusting to the conditions of the station, and preparing for something she could not yet name. The observation chamber was filled with soft light, and Subject X moved gracefully within it. Its skin shimmered with patterns that had become almost language-like in their complexity. Alara watched, understanding that the alien was communicating, not with words but with intention and energy. It was sharing information she could feel rather than hear, a lesson in adaptability, resilience, and foresight. Over the past months, Alara had learned to interpret the alien's signals. Each pattern, each pulse of color conveyed meaning. Sometimes it warned her of potential dangers, sometimes it suggested new approaches to problems, and sometimes it simply shared curiosity. She had come to trust these interactions, understanding that they were part of a collaborative process that extended beyond anything humanity had ever experienced. But the changes within her were becoming more pronounced. Scans revealed that the hybrid legacy was developing rapidly. Her neural network was expanding, her reflexes were nearly instantaneous, and her body was demonstrating abilities far beyond normal human limits. She could anticipate problems before they arose, plan solutions before the data fully appeared, and adapt to unexpected situations with remarkable efficiency. The scientists on the station noticed the effects, though they could not explain them. They began to rely on her guidance in emergencies, in system repairs, and in simulations of interstellar hazards. Alara led them not just with instructions, but with insight that seemed almost intuitive. She could see solutions before they formed, detect failures before they happened, and guide humans to success in situations that would have been impossible a few weeks earlier. One day, a sudden alert disrupted the station's routine. A series of micrometeors had entered Narian's upper atmosphere, larger and faster than any previous predictions. The station's automated systems struggled to respond, and the crew scrambled to reinforce the shields. Alara felt the familiar surge of awareness, the hybrid legacy within her responding to the threat. She moved quickly, issuing precise commands. Energy grids were rerouted, structural supports were reinforced, and the shields were focused on vulnerable areas. Every movement, every decision was guided by the combination of human intelligence and alien instinct. Subject X mirrored her efforts, its body emitting energy pulses that stabilized the shields and augmented the station's defenses. The meteors struck, sending vibrations through the station. Panels rattled, lights flickered, and alarms blared. But under Alara's direction, the damage was minimal. The station held. Crew members exchanged looks of astonishment, realizing that the combination of human ingenuity and alien adaptation had saved them from disaster. After the crisis, Alara retreated to the observation deck. She felt a deep sense of connection to the hybrid legacy within her. It was no longer just a subtle presence. It had become an integral part of her being, guiding her thoughts, enhancing her abilities, and preparing her for challenges yet to come. She knew that this evolution was not only personal, it was a gift for humanity. The weeks that followed were filled with careful monitoring and experimentation. Alara worked closely with Subject X, exploring the limits of the integration. She discovered that her body was now capable of adapting to extreme environmental changes, repairing itself at a cellular level, and processing complex information with extraordinary speed. The hybrid legacy was proving to be a living example of what humans could achieve when they embraced adaptability, intelligence, and collaboration. One evening, while analyzing data on the observation deck, Alara noticed a new phenomenon. The hybrid legacy was beginning to manifest visibly. Subtle bioluminescent patterns appeared on her skin when she focused or reacted to stimuli. These patterns were faint but unmistakable, a living reflection of the alien integration. She realized that her body was signaling its enhanced state, responding to the environment in ways that were both functional and beautiful. Dr. Hallstrom visited her shortly after, his expression a mix of concern and fascination. Alara, the scans show the visible changes. Bioluminescent patterns, what does this mean? If this continues, humanity could witness a transformation unlike anything we have ever known. But the risks, they are unknown. Alara's reflexes, problem-solving skills, and cognitive abilities reached levels she had never imagined. She could anticipate mechanical failures, predict environmental shifts, and adapt to complex situations almost instinctively. Subject X remained her constant partner, responding to her thoughts, mirroring her actions, and enhancing her abilities through subtle energy exchanges. One afternoon, the station's sensors detected a massive energy fluctuation originating from Narian's core. The readings indicated an unstable reaction that could affect the planet's magnetic field and threaten the station's orbit. Alara immediately recognized the danger. The station's systems alone could not handle the anomaly, but with her enhanced abilities, she could guide the team in stabilizing the situation. "Prepare for planetary feedback," she instructed. "We must synchronize the shields with the energy field, adjust the station's orientation, and monitor the structural supports in real time." Alara's instincts, guided by the hybrid legacy, allowed her to see the sequence of events before they unfolded. She directed power flows, adjusted shields, and coordinated repairs with precision that amazed even the most experienced engineers. Subject X contributed, projecting energy fields that reinforced critical areas and stabilized the station during moments of extreme stress. Hours passed, and the anomaly began to subside. The station remained intact, and the team had avoided catastrophe. Exhausted but exhilarated, Alara realized that this was proof of what humanity could achieve when augmented by intelligence, courage, and adaptability. The hybrid legacy was not just a personal advantage. It was a demonstration of human potential amplified by collaboration and evolution. Alara's attention then turned inward. The hybrid legacy had reached a critical stage in its development. Her body was now capable of carrying the potential for a new form of life, a living bridge between humans and aliens. This was no longer a theoretical concept. It was a tangible reality. She understood the responsibility that came with this knowledge. Humanity had been given an opportunity to evolve, and she was the first to bear witness and guide that process. The integration had not changed her humanity, it had enhanced it. She still felt emotions, reasoned carefully, and made ethical decisions. But now she could anticipate consequences more clearly, solve problems faster, and adapt to unexpected challenges with unprecedented efficiency. She was a living example of what humans could achieve when they embraced curiosity, courage, and intelligence. Alara shared her observations with the team, emphasizing the importance of careful monitoring and ethical responsibility. "This is not about creating something new for power or profit," she explained. "It is about learning, understanding, and preparing humanity to survive and thrive in a universe that is vast, complex, and often dangerous." They began to approach their work with renewed determination, applying lessons learned from Alara's condition to improve systems, enhance safety, and expand their understanding of the alien integration. Humanity's ingenuity was being tested and strengthened, and they were rising to the challenge. As the weeks passed, the hybrid legacy continued to grow. Alara could feel the potential within her taking shape, a living network of intelligence and adaptability that extended beyond herself. She realized that the next phase would be crucial. The legacy she carried could influence the future of humanity, guiding them toward new heights of understanding, resilience, and achievement. One night, while observing the alien and reviewing data, she felt a subtle but undeniable signal from within herself. The hybrid legacy was responding to her thoughts, her intentions, and the environment. It was preparing for the next step, an evolution that would not only enhance her abilities but provide humanity with a tangible connection to the alien species. Alara understood the gravity of the moment. This was a turning point, a moment when humanity could rise to new levels of achievement and understanding. The hybrid legacy was not a threat. It was a tool, a guide, and a living testament to what humans could accomplish. She took a deep breath, feeling the energy within her, the presence of the alien, and the weight of responsibility. The universe was vast and unpredictable, filled with challenges and opportunities alike. Humanity had always thrived by facing the unknown with courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Now, they had the chance to embrace a future that combined their strengths with those of another species, guided by ethical responsibility and a commitment to survival and growth. Alara looked at Subject X, her silent partner and teacher, and felt a profound sense of purpose. They were no longer simply observer and subject. They were collaborators in a journey that would shape the future, a partnership that could redefine what it meant to be human. The hybrid legacy within her was the beginning of a new chapter, one that promised challenges, discoveries, and opportunities beyond imagination. Humanity had the chance to rise, to evolve, and to thrive in ways that had never been possible before. And Alara knew that she would guide them, carefully and responsibly, through the next phase of this extraordinary journey. The station, bathed in the soft glow of Narian's moons, seemed almost alive in response to her presence. She could feel the energy of the hybrid legacy, the intelligence of the alien, and the determination of humanity all converging into a single purpose: to survive, to adapt, and to achieve greatness in a universe that had yet to reveal its full wonders. Alara smiled faintly, knowing that the story was far from over. Humanity had taken the first steps towards something extraordinary, and she was at the center of it. The hybrid legacy was no longer a secret or a possibility. It was a living reality, a gift, and a responsibility. And she was ready. The station's corridors were quiet, but the air was charged with anticipation. "Doctor." Alara Voss walked steadily toward the observation chamber, feeling the energy of the hybrid legacy within her. It was no longer subtle. She could sense it moving, responding, preparing. This was the moment she had been waiting for. Humanity's first bridge to another species was about to take form, and she was the vessel for its arrival. Subject X was already in the chamber, waiting calmly. Its skin shimmered in the soft light, pulsing in patterns that Alara now understood as communication. It watched her approach with intelligence and curiosity, as if aware that the culmination of their partnership was near. She felt a quiet thrill, not fear, not doubt, only focus and responsibility. The hybrid legacy inside her had grown significantly over the past weeks. Scans showed that neural and cellular integration had reached a critical threshold. The alien influence and her human biology had formed a stable, balanced system capable of creating a new form of life, one that could carry the strengths of both species. This was not a gamble. It was a calculated outcome of careful observation, study, and ethical guidance. Humanity had been given a gift, and it was her duty to see it realized safely. The station's sensors began recording in high resolution as Alara prepared the environment. She adjusted the energy fields, ensuring stability and optimal conditions for the hybrid's emergence. Every detail mattered. A small miscalculation could endanger both the station and the future of the legacy she carried. Her mind worked with precision, her instincts guided by the hybrid legacy, her body responding with unmatched coordination. The first sign came as a faint glow from within her body, bioluminescent patterns spreading across her skin. The light was subtle, almost ethereal, but it signaled the start of the process. Alara felt a pulse of energy, a deep resonance within her that connected her to the alien and to the potential life forming inside. She breathed steadily, centering herself, letting the integration guide her. Subject X mirrored the energy, its own skin pulsing in harmony with hers. Alara realized that this was a shared event, a collaboration that went beyond human or alien alone. They were partners in creation, each contributing to the stability, intelligence, and balance of the new life. The alien's presence was steady, calm, and focused, amplifying the safety and efficiency of the process. Hours passed as the hybrid legacy completed its emergence. Alara monitored her vitals, energy flows, and cellular activity, making micro-adjustments to maintain balance. The process was not painful, not frightening. It was controlled, guided by instinct, intelligence, and careful preparation. The hybrid legacy was not only safe, it was thriving. Finally, the process reached its peak. A faint figure appeared, suspended in a controlled energy field, a living bridge between species. It was small, delicate, and radiant, with subtle bioluminescent patterns that reflected both human and alien traits. It was not a human child, nor an alien in the conventional sense. It was something entirely new, a combination of intellect, adaptability, and resilience. The scientists in the observation room gasped, their excitement barely contained. This was history in the making. Humanity had witnessed the birth of a hybrid life, a living proof of what courage, intelligence, and adaptability could achieve. Dr. Hallstrom, usually reserved and cautious, could not hide his astonishment. It's incredible," he whispered. Alara stepped closer to the containment field, observing the hybrid. It responded to her presence, moving with subtle, purposeful motions. Its neural activity was extraordinary, showing capacities that surpassed either human or alien alone. She felt a deep connection, a resonance of thought and energy, confirming that the legacy was stable and healthy. The hybrid's emergence was not merely biological, it was symbolic. Humanity had proven that it could face the unknown, embrace change, and use intelligence and courage to thrive. The universe was vast and dangerous, but humans were not fragile. They were adaptable, creative, and brave. This new life embodied that truth. Alara's mind raced with possibilities. The hybrid could accelerate humanity's understanding of biology, technology, and interstellar survival. It could communicate with other species, analyze complex systems, and solve problems that had previously seemed unsolvable. Its potential was limitless, but it would require careful guidance, ethical responsibility, and patience. The alien, Subject X, moved closer to the containment field, its skin pulsing in acknowledgement. Alara understood the gesture. They had succeeded together, human and alien, in collaboration. The hybrid was stable because they had balanced knowledge, instinct, and care. It was a triumph of cooperation, intellect, and foresight, a perfect example of HFY in action. Over the following days, the team began working with the hybrid, establishing safe ways to study its abilities and growth. Alara monitored every interaction, ensuring that the process was ethical and secure. The hybrid learned quickly, responding to stimuli, understanding basic commands, and demonstrating problem-solving abilities beyond any human child. It absorbed knowledge, adapted to challenges, and displayed curiosity that was both human and alien in character. Alara reflected on the journey that had brought them here. She had arrived to study an alien being, unaware that she would carry its legacy within her. The integration had been a slow, careful process, guided by observation, ethics, and human ingenuity. And now the outcome was something remarkable. A new form of life, a bridge between species, a living example of what humans could achieve when they embraced courage, intelligence, and adaptability. The station, once quiet and orderly, now felt alive with energy. Crew members moved with renewed purpose, inspired by what they had witnessed. Humanity had achieved something unprecedented, not through conquest or violence, but through understanding, curiosity, and ethical innovation. They had proven that intelligence, courage, and adaptability were their greatest tools, capable of facing any challenge the universe could present. Alara spent time with the hybrid daily, observing its growth and guiding its learning. She could feel its intelligence expanding, its ability to interact with its environment improving rapidly. It was not a human child, nor an alien alone. It was the embodiment of cooperation, evolution, and the potential for greatness. The alien, Subject X, remained a constant presence, teaching and observing, guiding and stabilizing. Its calm intelligence complemented Alara's own enhanced abilities, creating a balance that ensured the hybrid's health and development. They were no longer teacher and student, human and alien. They were collaborators in a venture that had changed the course of history. One evening, as the station orbited silently above Narian, Alara looked out at the distant stars. She thought about humanity's journey, its struggles, its discoveries, its courage. And she realized that the hybrid legacy was not just about biology, it was about what humans could achieve when they embraced their best qualities. They had the capacity for intelligence, bravery, creativity, and ethical responsibility. This new life was proof of that truth. She returned to the observation chamber, where the hybrid moved gracefully, exploring its surroundings with curiosity and intelligence. Its bioluminescent patterns pulsed softly, responding to her presence, reflecting its awareness and understanding. She could see glimpses of its potential, an ability to solve problems, adapt to challenges, and learn faster than any human alone. Alara's heart swelled with pride and purpose. Humanity had faced the unknown and emerged stronger. The hybrid was not merely a creation, it was a testament to what humans could achieve when they used intelligence, courage, and adaptability to meet the challenges of the universe. Dr. Hallstrom approached, his expression a mixture of awe and respect. Alara, this changes everything. Humanity has a future we could never have imagined. Alara reached out to it, feeling the resonance between them. They had succeeded together, human and alien in harmony, creating a new legacy for the universe to witness. The hybrid continued to develop rapidly, showing abilities that amazed the scientists. It could analyze environmental data, respond to problems, and communicate complex ideas in ways that surpassed expectations. Humanity had taken its first step toward a new era, an era of cooperation, evolution, and understanding that would shape the future for generations to come. Alara realized that the greatest triumph was not the hybrid itself, but what it represented. Humanity had the courage to face the unknown, the intelligence to learn and adapt, and the ethical foresight to guide progress responsibly. These qualities, amplified by the hybrid legacy, would ensure survival, growth, and greatness in a universe filled with challenges. The station hummed with quiet energy, a living testament to what humans could achieve. Alara felt the hybrid within her, the alien beside her, and the universe stretching endlessly before them. Humanity had proven itself worthy of the journey, capable of rising to new heights through courage, creativity, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. And in that moment, she knew that the future was bright. Humanity's story was far from over. With intelligence, bravery, and adaptability, they could meet any challenge, explore any frontier, and achieve greatness beyond imagination. The hybrid legacy was the first step, a living proof of what humans could accomplish. Alara smiled, watching the hybrid move, observing the alien, and feeling the pulse of the universe around her. Humanity had taken its first step toward something extraordinary, and she had been there to guide it. The universe was vast, full of unknowns, but humans had never shied away from challenges. They would rise, they would thrive, and they would prove once again that humanity's greatest strength lay not in weapons or numbers, but in intelligence, courage, adaptability, and the ability to embrace the unknown. The hybrid legacy pulsed softly within her, a living reminder of what had been achieved and what was yet to come. Alara knew that this was only the beginning of a new chapter for humanity, a chapter filled with discovery, growth, and triumph in a universe that was finally theirs to explore. And she was ready.